Okay, this is GamerBlave and we're back with True Remembrance. And if you've been following along so far, then you know that it's been a little while since the last upload. And also, the last installment in this series was quite interesting. It seemed to be a little bit outside the norm. The whole timbre of the last one was completely different from anything that we'd seen so far, and I think that that's really going to be. I talked about it ad nauseum in the last one, so I'm not going to go into it any more than this. But it was completely different than the other one, so I definitely suggest looking at that or taking a look at that one if you haven't already. So it had a to be continued at the end of the last one, which often signifies change in narrator. So I don't know at this point. This could very well be Law here. It's either Law or Blackiris, I would imagine, but we don't know that yet. So last we think they probably went back to their house, and that's what we have reason to believe. So this may be Law talking here, but not sure yet. I've caught a cold. At first I thought it was nothing, then a little headache, but it looks like it's here to stay. Hey, Law, you feeling all right? Oh, I called it. Or at least it seems like I did. All right, so I'm tired, but it's nothing major, nothing to worry about. I'm fine, just a little fatigued, that's all. I manage a smile, but Blackiris just shrugs. He reaches out and puts a hand on my forehead. Eek! For crying out loud, you're burning up inside. He's comparing his own temperature to mine. He doesn't look so happy, not mad either, but still. Well, that's no wonder. You weren't wearing much, and you were in that church for hours. Sorry. Oh, I'm not mad at you. The terrorists were the one to blame, after all. Blackiris passes me some sweetened hot milk. I take it gratefully and gulp it all down. I'm curious now. I put a hand up to my forehead. Wow, it's hot. All right, that's a good girl. Drink it all down. We're going to the hospital after you finish. No ifs, ands, or buts now, okay? Now, can you walk? Yeah. Except that's not true. I get up on my feet and almost fall. Dizzy. Disorienting. I put on my coat. I feel so slow. Blackiris is waiting for me. All right, time to head out. I'm freezing. Literally. When did it get this cold? No snow. Yet. But the clouds are low and gray. Poor Blackiris. He's so nice. He's walking slow, real slow, just for me. My breath, it's fogging up, so hot. The hospital's on First. We're on the trolley now. Usually I stare out the window. I love that. But today, none of that. So sleepy. Good night. Oh man, that's making me yawn just reading. I guess it's been a long day, but man, just that's kind of just suggestion of reading someone say they're sleepy. Maybe I should have brought some coffee in here instead of water. Goodness. Okay, let's continue here. I hear a voice, Blackiris. He's telling me something. We've arrived. My eyes flutter open. Oh. My head was on his shoulder the entire time. How embarrassing. Now that was actually, that obviously is not a suggestion of anything because, she was falling asleep, so that doesn't necessarily mean anything. But at the end of the last episode, once again, if you didn't catch that, there was some odd behavior in Law, which of course there's odd behavior in Law in every episode, so How that would be irregular, is, it's not necessarily irregular. But anyway, I was potentially seeing something that might be construed as potential romantic or at least confused feelings of her towards Blackiris. So not exactly sure how that's going to pan out. Of course, once again, as I've reiterated many times over the course of this series, I'm not familiar with psychiatric treatment in a professional sense or anything like that. But as I understand it, that type of relationship often does involve a patient developing that kind of feeling towards the person treating them. So this could be something like that happening. But anyway, the hospital is huge. It towers over me like an empty grave or an angry god. Blackiris gets me registered. He shows the clerks his ID. Their eyes widen. They get me in right away. We sit in the waiting room. We're not the only ones. Lots of people here, same as me. Sniffles, coughs, fevers. You can go to sleep if you want. Thanks, but I'm okay. Blackiris slips his coat off. He wraps it around me, gently. It's warm, so warm. I'm happy and honored. A nurse calls my name. Blackiris walks me to the exam room. He turns, says he'll be over there in the waiting area. I nod, of course, then he's gone. Hello there. What brings you here today? This doctor, he sounds nice, so I tell him. I've caught a cold. He nods, asks a few more questions, tells me he needs to listen to my chest, takes out a stethoscope. Wait, what am I supposed to do? This is my first time in a hospital, so I really don't know. Would you mind unbuttoning your top for us, dear? The woman next to him says, gently, warmly, so I nod and undo my buttons. Well, I try. I'm embarrassed, too embarrassed to take my clothes off. My fingers won't obey me. Funny, never had a problem with this before. But now I do. I wonder why. So I feel what I didn't before, so I can't do what I did before. Oh well. The doctor will manage, somehow. Oh yes, this is the cold that's been going round recently. Seems like everyone has it these days. Now I'm prescribing you a 3-day course of antibiotics. Take it, and rest as much as you can. Come see me again after that. Then he smiles at me. Okay, thank you very much. He just smiles again and motions me out. That was a quick doctor visit. But I guess if they're packed, he's got to kind of move them through there like an assembly line. So I go back to the waiting area, but Blackiris isn't here. I wonder where he went. I wander a bit looking for him. I come by the reception desk, and there he is, chatting with a girl at the desk. I come closer. I can hear them now. He's asking her about inpatients for some reason. Oh, he's done. That was fast. He turns to me. Oh, all finished now? What'd the doctor say? I'm wondering if the inpatient situation is at all significant. I'm just going to make a quick note of that, in case I gloss over that. Just make a quick note, because I tend to forget things. Definitely a cold. Prescribe me something. Be better soon. How about you? Oh, it's nothing important. Rook was telling me that one of our old professors from our academy days was hospitalized here some time ago. I get it, so he wanted to know whether his teacher was still here. Oh, but that is important. Did you go to see him? Oh, no intention to. So strange, that look on his face. Something's wrong. Then let's go right now. But you're not I'm fine. Feeling much better already, I swear. Besides, kill 2 birds with 1 stone. You're already here, why not? Come on, if I were your teacher, I'd be really happy if you came to visit. Blackiris looks at me for a moment. Just a moment, though. He turns away, stares out into the wards, sighs, and nods. I guess you're right. No time like the present. I don't think I can put this off forever anyhow. There's something wrong here. This isn't his usual self. He's getting quieter and quieter. No, he's not being lazy or blowing things off. What's his reason then? Why doesn't he want to do this? The receptionist tells us where to go, so we do. Blackiris doesn't say a word. There's something indescribable in his eyes. I've never seen him like this before. We stop before the room. No nameplate. Blackiris knocks once and slowly opens the door. It's white inside. Spare. Clean. Too clean. A burst of color on the windowsill. Flowers. But that's all. Oh no, silly me, I forgot to bring a gift. Too late now. How would she have got a gift in the 5 seconds since she knew about this visit? The window's open, a bit. There's a breeze, not strong, but the vase is wobbling, dangerous. The walls are pale, the sheets are pale, the light is pale. But the palest thing of all is the little old lady in bed. Doesn't even seem to know we're here, keeps staring out the window, then finally turns to us and smiles slightly. My, what have we here? Visitors? A good day to you. I'm glad you came. A calm voice, a gentle voice, a voice immersed in eternal sleep. She nods, beckons us closer. Please, come in, come closer. I have some sweets. Would you like some? I have no idea what to do, but Blackiris, he's already in motion, so I follow him. We reach the bedside. The lady looks up at him and smiles again. My, so handsome and so young. I'm so sorry that you have to see me in this state. Now, dearie, you must tell me. What is your name? Wait, this is weird. She doesn't even seem to know him. Why? I look up at him. My question is obvious, but he answers with an easy smile. I'm Blackiris, ma'am. It's good to see you again, Professor. Oh, yes, Mr. Blackiris. And your companion? Her name is Law, ma'am. Blackiris answers for me. It's just as well. I'm lost. I have no clue what to say or do. Oh, how wonderful. Come, please. Have some sweets. She smiles warmly. Hand us some cookies. Someone probably brought those for her. She watches me eat one. There's that smile on her face. She seems so pleased. She looks to Blackiris. Now, dearie, you must tell me. What is your name? I'm Blackiris, Professor. He replies with the same easy smile. I'm Law, ma'am. But this time, I'm able to manage something. Oh, how wonderful, Mr. Blackiris. Miss Law. She nods many times over and smiles like a child. She hands me another cookie. What can I do? I take it. And every few minutes, it's the same story. She asks us our names over and over, smiles, hands me a cookie, looks out the window again. Now Blackiris is silent. He just watches over his teacher's wrinkle-lined face. There's that look in his eyes. And soon she falls asleep entirely. Blackiris looks over her for a second longer. Then he comes close, squeezes his teacher's hand gently. I stand, shut the window, rebalance the vase. Good. Now it won't fall over. Let's go. I nod. We leave the room. I turn to look at her one last time. The door closes, but I can see, even in her sleep, she's still smiling. Man. Gee whiz. Our professor was already on the verge of retirement when she taught our class. Blackiris says, slowly, as we make our way back to the trolley station. He's walking slowly, for me, but it's still hard to keep up. I can do it, though. He looks at me with worry. I just smile. I'm okay. She must have been a nice teacher. No, she was horrible. We were all scared stiff of her. She blew up at each and every little thing we did wrong. She used to drive people, especially girls, to tears. We used to think she was a monster of some sort. He smiles wistfully. Hard to believe. All I can remember is this. She was smiling. She's smiling even now. She'll smile forever. And you? Did she scold you, too? Sure. She was obviously one of the best teachers we had. But when she got angry, it was like watching a volcano erupting. But in the end, I don't think she ever yelled at us for something we didn't deserve. A good person, then. You could say that. There's something in his eyes again. He's agreeing with me, but he's not really. She really cared a lot about her students. Still, I never liked her much. Why? He looks around, as if the answer will materialize in plain sight. Somehow, he turns to me. He smiles with difficulty. I think maybe it was because she cared so much about us. And you know, since I don't care, I don't get it. He does care so much. I've lived with him every day. I know he cares. More than anyone. But he hides it with vague words and clumsy actions so no one knows. Maybe that's it. Maybe this professor, maybe she saw right through him. Maybe that's why I'm crying right now. I thought I'd promised myself no more tears. But what's a promise? Only something meant to be broken. I'm not entirely certain I agree with that law, but I'll go ahead and let you have that, and we will continue on here. Law, there's nothing sad about this. This is what she's chosen for herself. This is her way of saying farewell. It's like she used to say to us, you need to say goodbye with a smile. I suppose. He's back to normal, or so he wants me to believe, but there's still something in his eyes, something worth crying for. I'm glad we had a chance to see her today. I can't meet his eyes anymore. He's being so nice, so I just nod. I blink and blink and blink. The tears won't stop. Funny, We'll all end up that way in the end. We'll forget everything. So why bother? Why do people try to rush it along? Oh, right. I'm one of those people. He looks at me for a moment. Obviously, he's thinking. Doesn't look like he expected this. He takes a long time. It seems like forever, but finally. This isn't a very good answer, but everyone's a little different. Some say you have to forget, or you won't survive. Others say the opposite, that you have to remember. I don't think there's one absolute right or wrong for any one person. Each one of us makes a choice somewhere, somehow. And once that choice is made, then we remember. Or we forget. It all depends. I repeat his words over and over to myself, inside. I don't ever want to forget them. I'm getting sleepy. We're back on the trolley now. Time to sleep. But I know I can't escape it. Someday, the day will come. My goodness. I mean, if we're talking about the day will come when she is anticipating forgetting everything, then I'm not sure if she means eventually, like naturally down the road when you waste away, when your brain deteriorates, or if she's talking about Mnemonicide Protocol Day. I'm not really sure what she means in that sense. I'm kind of thinking that she's more, just based on the fact, I'm thinking that she's more referring to Mnemonicide Protocol because she's repeating that, she's trying to drill these words directly into her head and not forget them. But even though she knows that when the Mnemonicide Protocol transpires, everything that happens here is going to be erased, is going to be purged from her memory, basically. So yeah, I think for some reason she's trying to somehow make that particular thing permanent. That's how I'm interpreting that, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we'll get a little bit more tangible of an idea about that as we move along here. Okay, so let's do exactly that and see if we get anything else. Wait. This is my bed at home. When did we get here? The room's dark. I can't see a thing. What happened to me? Well, I can tell one thing. I'm still fully dressed, just like I was when we went to the hospital. Now I remember getting on the trolley and then... What? How'd I end up here? It's a blank. I turn on the light. There's a little meal on the desk along with some pills. No appetite. But I have to take the medicine, so I nibble on the bread. I swallow the pill and I wash it down with the water. I open the curtains a bit. It's dark out. The world is still. The trees are shadowed in the wan street lamps. I'm awake, and the earth is asleep. It's been a long time. So I guess Blackiris just carried her back after the trolley. I pick up the tray, leave my room, head downstairs. Still feel weak, stumble a few times, but I don't fall, thank goodness. I make it to the kitchen, start washing dishes, but then I start feeling really weak. I have to sit down. This will pass soon, I hope. So I sit, put my head down on the table, wait, and then suddenly I feel someone touching my hair gently. It feels nice, comforting, so I stay still for a while. But I can't stay like this. I open my eyes, lift my head up off the table. Sure enough, it's Blackiris. He looks worried. I knew it was him to begin with, but I'm still so embarrassed. Don't push yourself now. It would have been fine. I would have cleaned up after you. He sighs, pulls out my chair a little bit. I make little movements, but I know not to try to get up. That wouldn't work. When you've got a cold like this, the first thing you ought to be doing is resting as much as you can. But you never do. That's why you got this bad in the first place. So come on, I'm putting you back to bed. Can you stand? Yeah. I put my hands on the table to steady myself. I try to stand, but I can't. I have no strength. So weird. It's as if I'm not in my own body anymore. Everything's so distant. Blackiris looks on for a second, and then he comes behind me, scoops me up in his arms, starts carrying me up the stairs. Eek! But he ignores my feeble protest. He just keeps walking on up. Wait a minute. When we got off the trolley, did you carry me all the way home? Sure. On my back, though, not like this. You were fast asleep, and it wasn't any problem. I'm so embarrassed. So embarrassed I can't even speak for a second. You should have woken me up. And even if I did, you wouldn't have been able to walk anyhow. Don't worry about it. You're so light anyhow. Almost too light if you ask me. That's not the point. Nobody carries me on his back. Nobody. Not even Pops did. Just the thought of it makes me dizzy. Can't see straight anymore. What a day. He puts me down in bed, makes sure the blankets are thick and warm enough, tucks me in tight. He's about to turn off the lights, but I stop him. I'd like that on, please. I hate the dark, especially when I'm feeling this way. Are you scared? No way. Oh wow, that was quite a shout. I can tell. Blackiris is looking at me. With that smile, he thinks this is funny. I always fall for that. Okay, then I'll leave the lights on, but aren't you going to sleep? Not yet. Still wide awake, actually. I just got up after all. Sure, I'm feeling weak, tired, and sick, but not sleepy. He thinks about it for a moment, and then he brings a chair next to the bed, sits down, so he'll be watching over me. That's sweet. This brings back memories. Pops used to do this for me. Every time I couldn't sleep, he used to tell me stories, which is why I can't help but ask. And will you tell me a bedtime story? Wait, who, me? He's smiling again, looks surprised and amused. Maybe people don't do this anymore. In this day and age? Yes, you. See, Pops always used to read me something before I went to sleep. Pops? Used to read you something? Huh, well, hey, sure, why not? What kind of a story would you like? I'll warn you beforehand, I'm horrible with fairy tales, so that's probably not the best choice. He finally nods. This makes me happy, really happy. So happy that I almost get up out of bed, but he stops me from doing that. He doesn't get it, but I'm still so happy because, see, even if I have to tell him, I don't want a fairy tale. Tell me a story about you. Tell me your story. I'm not that interesting. I still want to hear it, unless you don't want me to know. No, well, it'll be okay. I'm not thinking so well right now. I'll probably forget everything, so please? Then there's no point in me telling the story, is there? Then I'll remember everything, so please? Funny, he doesn't seem to want that either, but he finally gives in. So I wait. He's still sitting here, of course, but he's actually far away now, in the past. Let me see. You'd never guess it, but I used to live in a place far, far away from this place. Oh, we get a little bit of backstory on Blackiris now. That's going to be interesting. Now, if you remember a few episodes ago, we did get a little bit of Rook's backstory, which did give us a couple of little tidbits, a little bit of morsels about Blackiris, but we didn't really get very much information about Blackiris, so this is actually going to be very interesting. Farther than the city limits? Yeah, much, much farther. So far away that you wouldn't believe me even if I told you. I wouldn't be able to imagine it. I can't. I'm trying, but I can't. Even this town, it's huge. Never been in a place like this before. Where I used to live, there was no talk of pneumocides or psyche corrosion or the dolor, so naturally, I didn't even know that any of it even existed. Wow, what was it like? This place? Could you see the ocean? Or the mountains? I've never seen either, so I want him to tell me. I want to see. I want to see what he's seen. This world is large, larger than I know. Maybe even larger than he knows. And beautiful. But Blackiris just sighs. He smiles. He looks kind of annoyed. It wasn't that great. I think I'll stop here. This isn't something you should be hearing right before you sleep anyhow. No fair. I almost spring out of bed. For the second time. This time I come so close. Blackiris looks at me. He's shocked. He sighs and tells me, fine, all right, just lie back, I'll tell you. So I'm happy to do as he says. How should I put this? See, the place I used to live was a lot like here, in that it was out in the middle of nowhere, but it was bigger, darker, an urban sprawl filled with intersections that all led nowhere. Intersections all led nowhere? Indeed. It was crazy, a billion roads going a billion different directions. The more you headed in, the darker it got. It was almost like the closer you got to the heart of the city, the murkier your own heart became. I'm thinking that this is hyperbole and metaphor here. Either that or this is just the weirdest city ever. That's why the place was the way it was, I think. A dead end at every turn, no matter which road you took. Unfamiliar people and unfamiliar buildings, no matter how long you'd been there. Imagine a city always in free fall. He turns to me, asks if I get what he's saying. I nod, but that's a lie. I don't understand at all. It makes me sad. Sad that I can't even imagine where he's been, where he was born. But one thing is obvious. This hometown of his, it's a horrible place. A place where beauty is dead. A place forever in free fall. A place I don't want to be. Day and night, the factories belched foul-smelling clouds from their smokestacks. Everything stank of industry. I worked in one of those factories when I was a kid, but I had to quit. Why? I wonder, I was so young then. I don't really remember. But if memory serves, and it really doesn't, then it wasn't that I quit more than I ran away for dear life. He shrugs. It's almost like he's talking about a total stranger right now. I think I still had some hope back then. I think I didn't want to die. That's why I ran. Then, I really had to scrape along, doing whatever I could just to get by. Lots of people were in the same situation I was. Not all of them made it, but somehow I did. Feeling any hate yet? Hate for what? For his story? For his past? For him? Don't know what he means. Doesn't matter. The answer is still the same. Never. I shake my head. He smiles, but it's not really a smile. Now that I think about it, I shouldn't have survived that situation, and I wouldn't have, except I started displaying pneumonicidal abilities and... But Blackiris shuts himself in a place where I can't reach. He shakes his head. It's nothing. Anyway, word got out of the strange things I did. Eventually, the black cars came for me. And I signed up on the spot. I knew, you see, even at that young age, that everything was a dead end in that city, including me if I stayed there much longer. I will be a pneumonicide at all costs, huh? Huh. Yeah, I guess something like that. I never wanted to come back to that place, see? Understood. So after that, I was brought to the academy, studied hard, graduated, and became a licensed pneumonicide. And I've been here ever since. And that's the end of my story. See, I told you, pretty boring, wasn't it? No, not at all. Well then, I'm glad you enjoyed it. So let's see, next time you'll have to tell me your story. All right? You want to hear it? He thinks about it for a moment, then he nods and smiles. Okay, next time, when we get the chance, I hope. I'll be looking forward to it. Now, are you getting sleepy yet? Yeah, thank you very much. I'm okay now. You can turn the lights off. I'll manage. He smiles, stands, walks away, flicks off the light, opens the door, leaves. Leaves me alone. I close my eyes. It's dark. Dark as the place where Blackiris was born. All right, well, I think on that note that we're going to go ahead and take a break for this one. And because I think that pacing-wise, that's probably a good place to take a break. With her hitting the hay. But that's interesting. Getting a little bit of backstory on Blackiris now. I mean, we're a good bit into this series. I believe this is episode 12. Episode 12 here. And finally get a little bit of story about him. Whether or not it's true, we'll go ahead and take it as true. Oh, that is an interesting way to describe a city. I mean, I guess if you just really hated a place, you're like, yeah, it had a billion dead-end roads in it. Everything sucked. It was terrible. There was nothing good or redeeming about that city. And yet, no one left it, and people just lived there and rotted, I guess. But yeah, interesting episode. We met the professor, or his old teacher, whose brain had deteriorated. Now we have I think that we've got some hints throughout this series that being a mnemonicide actually does kind of take a toll on your mind. Now, we can assume that the professor that taught at the school, I would imagine most of the people who teach the mnemonicides have been mnemonicides or were mnemonicides. So that it could potentially have contributed to her current condition and her current state of affairs. But also Law wanting to at least hold on to some of her current memories. At least that's kind of what I'm thinking. Hold on to some of the memories that she's forming in this place is what I'm kind of detecting, or that's kind of what I'm thinking might be going on there. Even though as we've seen, or as it seems to be, they work on treating the dolor, getting to the cause of it, and then once they get to it, in the more serious cases, then they enact the mnemonicide protocol, and when they finally do that, I guess, then they're going to forget their entire time in the town here. But I unless I'm misunderstanding some things here, I think she wants to hold on to some of it. So, we've got some of that. But, I didn't really detect anything else that was along the lines of what I was talking about in the last video with the romantic feelings, or potential romantic feelings that I discussed in the last one. Their interactions seem to be back to the normal. So I think that she was just, in shock after a pretty traumatic event, and the abnormal, the weirdness that was going on there could potentially have been attributed to that. So yeah, that was definitely a very interesting. An interesting one right there. So we've got some stuff to work with there. Got some stuff to work with, and got some stuff to look forward to. In terms of her moving forward with her treatment, how it's going to go, and also a little bit more about her story. Now we've got Blackiris' story, and Law has promised to tell her story. Which will presumably contain a lot of trauma that has led to her being stricken with the dolor, which has led her down this path of requiring treatment in this town. So all that coming up, presumably, at least. So, all that being said, if you like this video, then definitely remember to hit that like button. It definitely helps me out a lot and encourages me to continue this series. And if you liked it a lot and you want to see the rest of this series or anything else that I may be putting on this channel, and you are not currently subscribed, then go ahead and subscribe as well if you are so inclined. But regardless, as always, thanks so much for watching. And we are going to be picking up right here next time.